What is up, Cowboy Nation? Dallas fan 1997 here, guys, and I just got done working out. I'm finally, over the last couple days, I've finally been able to run. Been having some problems with my foot the last couple months, and really haven't been able to run. It's been painful to even walk sometimes, but I've been able to run the last 3 days, and it feels good. Did a 3-mile run the last 3 days, and it's kicked my butt, man. Wow. It's tough when you haven't been able to do it in like 2 months, but anyways, there's news that rumors that Von Miller could be interested in joining the Dallas Cowboys. There was a post by Blogging the Boys where it said that, Von Miller posted him in a Cowboys uniform on his Instagram page. RJ Ochoa of Blogging the Boys did interview him recently and said that he would be interested, possibly that he had some interest, I guess, in coming to the Dallas Cowboys. Now that makes sense. Von Miller is from Texas A&M. He's from Dallas. It would make sense as to why. The real question is it realistic? Could the Cowboys possibly go out there and sign Von Miller? And what would Von Miller bring to the table? Well, first of all, if the Cowboys were to actually sign Von Miller, and this is a big if, I'll get into the nitty-gritty here in a minute, what would it bring the Dallas Cowboys? Well, Von Miller is not what he once was. He's not the Von Miller that won the Super Bowl back in 2015 with the Denver Broncos. He's not going to get you 10 to 15 plus sacks like he did in his prime. He won't do that. But if you look at his numbers over the last couple of years, he's averaged somewhere between 5 to about 9 sacks a year. Last year with Washington, he actually had a solid year in kind of a rotational role. He had 9 sacks last year. He had 5, I think, the year before that with Buffalo, and he had like 4 or 5 with the Rams. I can't remember all the numbers, but he's averaged about 5 to 9 sacks over the last couple of years. So Von Miller's 37. He's not what he once was. He's not going to be the Von Miller that he was with the Denver Broncos. But would he be able to help the Dallas Cowboys if the Cowboys were to sign him to like a 1-year deal? I think it would. I mean, he's a guy that'll get you about 5 to 9 sacks in a rotational role. He would definitely be an upgrade over anybody we got, because right now the best pass rusher we have statistically is Rashawn Gary, and Rashawn Gary's, the most sacks he's ever had in his career is about 9.5 sacks. So that's the best we got right now. So Von Miller, even at 37 years old, he had 9 sacks last year with Washington. He would definitely be an upgrade over what we currently have. I don't think he'd be a full-time starter. He'd be more of a rotational, situational type of pass rusher. And I do think it would be a good signing by the Cowboys. I do think he would be productive. I do think he'd get you about 5 to 9 sacks in a situational pass rusher role, kind of like Dante Fowler a couple of years ago. He would be an upgrade over what we got. So if the Cowboys were to bring him in, I would be all for it, as long as he's not asking for too much. And this is why I don't think it's realistic. Von Miller did a 1-year, $6.1 million deal last year with Washington. My guess is if he comes to Dallas, he's probably going to want somewhere between $6 to $7 million a year. Okay, which is not unreasonable. The guy still can get you 5 to 9 sacks. That's a very reasonable asking price. There's only one problem though. The Cowboys don't have the cap space to go out there and get him. So the Cowboys only have $5.4 million worth of cap space. Von Miller is going to cost you $6 to $7 million. He would blow through all your cap right there. Now, the only way I could see the Cowboys possibly going out there and being able to afford Von Miller is we would have to cut some guys. Now, I did a little bit of calculation. If the Cowboys were to cut guys like Jonathan Mingo, Luke Schoonmaker, Maris Leofau, a couple other guys, they could save up to about $4 or $5 million. But then you got to think, you're cutting about 3 to 5 players for the price of one. So if you did all that, you cut Schoonmaker, you cut Mingo, maybe Valdez Scantling, Maris Leofau, you can get up to about, without signing Von Miller, $10.5 million. So if Von Miller takes a $6 million a year deal, you'd be left over with about $4.5 million, so slightly less than what you have now. But in that case, you would lose depth. I mean, losing Mingo and Valdez-Scantling, you'd lose depth there at wide receiver. You could hope and pray that some of your younger guys step up, which I would be okay with. I don't think Valdez-Scantling's a, huge loss. Neither is Jonathan Mingo. You would lose Maris Leofau, but Von Miller would come in to play the role of what Maris Leofau would be doing anyways, and he would definitely be an upgrade even at 37 years old over what Maris Leofau currently is, most likely. Leofau's just got youth on him. That's about the only thing he's got over Von Miller. So you would replace him there, and you get an upgrade. But if you lose Luke Schoonmaker, you do lose a little bit of depth at tight end. But honestly, man, Luke Schoonmaker's really not done anything. He's been a backup since he's been here. I'm comfortable with Brevin Spanfor being your backup blocking tight end and using Trigg kind of as your receiver. I would be all for it. If the Cowboys were to do something like that, they would cut, Valdez-Scantling and Leofau and, Mingo and possibly Luke Schoonmaker to open up $10.5 million to go sign Von Miller for maybe a $6 million a year deal. We'd have $4.5 left over. I'd actually be in favor of it. I mean, Von would be definitely an upgrade over anybody we got, at least when it comes to pass rushing. He'd be a good situational guy. He's a veteran. He's won a Super Bowl. Actually, I think he's won 2 Super Bowls. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he won one with the Rams back in 2021, but I could be wrong. So he's been a champion. He's been on a championship roster. He'd bring veteran leadership to the Dallas Cowboys locker room. He would still give you 5 to 9 sacks in a year, even as the situational guy. I would be all for it. If the Cowboys could do something like that, they cut like 3 or 4 guys like Scantling and, Mingo, Leofau, Schoonmaker, something like that to open up enough cap space to go out there and get Von Miller, I'd be okay with it. Because you're not going to lose, you would lose a little bit of depth with Valdez-Scantling and, Jonathan Mingo, but Mingo really hasn't done much for the Cowboys since he's been here anyways, and he's kind of on his way out. Valdez-Scantling, yeah, Dak likes him. I don't really care what Dak likes at this point. I think we have young receivers on this roster that could be just as talented and give just as much production as Valdez-Scantling for less money. That's just my opinion. And as for Luke Schoonmaker, I think we have tight ends on our roster that can replace him. And even Leofau, you're getting Von Miller pretty much to replace him. So I would be all for it. Do I expect the Dallas Cowboys to do that? I personally don't. I think at this point, the best you're going to see us is get bargain basement shopping free agents. But that's what happens when you put all the money into Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb in the offense. When you put all the money into the offensive side of the ball, especially to a quarterback that's average, that's way overpaid, this is what happens. You're left with very little cap space. You can't go out there and afford free agents that can help your football team. And that's what I've been trying to tell these Dak Prescott. I call them the Dakstians. I'm a Christian too, so don't get offended. But I call the Dak Prescott fans Dakstians. Like they call them Christians. I call them Dakstians. And the reason I call him that is because they treat Dak like he's Jesus Christ. And that's why I call him Dacus Christ on my channel. And no, I am a Christian, so don't come, say, oh, it's a joke. But still, that's how they treat Dak Prescott. Anyways. But Von Miller apparently has some interest. We've heard this before. Could I see the Cowboys going after him? I could. Do I think it's going to happen? No. It would require us cutting too many players to try and create enough cap space, which we're already tight on anyways. But if the Cowboys were to do something like that and pull it off, I'd be all for it. He would bring veteran leadership to the locker room. He'd still be a good situational pass rusher, get you 5 to 9 sacks, which is honestly better than what you currently have now. So I'd be for it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's realistic? I don't think it's necessarily super realistic just because the Cowboys are tight on cap space, and I don't see Jerry Jones going out there and cutting all those players just to get a 37-year-old, pass rusher. But that's just me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Peace.